Hello everybody, we are back with our fence expert Ken Leach, and we are learning everything you need to know to build a fence. We just finished covering the planning stages and setting your posts. So what is our next step in the fence building process?
Our next step is starting to set the rails to hold our fence boards. Find out the elevations we need to work with, see if there's any change in ground elevation, and see where we're going to step our rails down so our fence either increases or decreases in height in a very nice consistent manner. But now it's time to build. So
for anyone who has not built a fence before, when we say the rails, we're specifically talking about, how would you describe that?
The horizontal pieces that you mount your fence boards to.
Perfect. So in that little example there, this would be our rail.
Yes.
Perfect. So you said determine the height that your rails are going to be. How do you do that?
First thing you want to see is how flat is your property. Some properties are flat enough where there will be no changes in heights. Some people have a slight raise, and you'll have to step up. Fence boards are only 6 feet long or 5 feet long, depending on what size you want to build your fence or what height. And you don't want to have to cut down fence boards to try to maintain the height. You want to raise the fence up because you want a 6-foot privacy around your entire property. So string a line. That first line you had when you were stringing your posts out, that same line occurs. Can you go from one end to the other end 4 inches up? Measure 4 inches up, and can you go all the way and still have a decent size or a relatively close gap on the bottom? If you can, there's your elevation. You don't have to do anything. However, if you get to a side where your string is now hitting the ground, or there's too big of a gap, because then it's time to figure out where you're going to change your elevations and how it's going to look.
So you said to space it about 4 inches. Is that the recommended height from the bottom of your fence boards off the ground?
That is a matter of preference.
Okay.
I personally like 6 to 8 inches off of the ground from my bottom rail. It does leave some room underneath for grass to grow and those types of things. It also gets me off my hands and knees when I'm building a fence. I don't like bending down too much. It all really depends on the style of fence that you want to build. Some people like putting a 2x4 flat on the very bottom, and their fence boards will sit on it. Once we've figured out what your design is, we can figure out exactly where you have to build anything. But if you were just to do a horizontal rail, about 6 inches off of the ground.
So the number of rails between posts vary based on the design of the fence, I'm guessing?
They vary based on the design of the fence and your budget. If you were to build a 6-foot fence, some people will just go with a rail on the bottom and a rail on the top, leaving 6 feet of fence board in the middle that could flex. Some people will add a third rail, so there's now another area to screw into the fence boards. It's a matter of preference, it's a matter of look. There is no mandatory, okay, unless we're building something around a pool, and we will walk away from that right now because there are far different regulations regarding a pool fence.
Okay. So I have here a couple different examples of rail brackets for a fence. Can you tell me which is one of these better than another? How exactly do they work? How does that add structural stability to your fence?
They do the exact same thing.
Okay.
There are a bunch of different methods to assist a homeowner in, or a professional for that matter, in installing a fence. Conventionally, it is just a standard fence clip which would mount to the outside of your post, and you would drop your 2x4 inside, like so. Okay? It does leave this piece of steel visible on the outside, and some people don't like the looks. Then you have this one. This is a little bit different. This mounts to the back of the 2x4, first screwed through the back, and then this is mounted in one piece to the 4x4 or 6x6. So this is a concealed or hidden hanger, and this is a standard fence clip.
And the one we see that is on that is more of a decorative one, I guess?
This is a more decorative, where it is a hidden fastener system, okay? Not used so many times as a fence rail, but if you were to do something in a wooden railing around a deck, this is a very decorative piece to mount your railing to a deck. So nothing that's really used per se as a fence.
Oh, right, yeah, because the fence boards essentially hide all the rails and the rail brackets in the end anyway.
Yes, ultimately, but a lot of times what happens is you will have this piece visible because your spacing on the fence boards may not be perfect, so you're ending up ripping down a fence board to a small piece to hide this.
Right.
Okay. It's one of those things that happens, but this is the new way where you only see this small piece of metal. It's much less obtrusive.
Does it add a lot more structural stability to use a fence bracket like this, or could you just screw or toenail in a nail and fasten it directly, or?
It does add some stability on it, but being honest, most people cannot toenail properly. So this is one that we know we have a secure attachment to a post. It's engineered to hold it, and your fence will last forever. This will last longer than the rest of the lumber in your house. So this is here forever, and as long as we attach this properly, you'll have no problems with your fence.
Perfect. We hope you found this video helpful. If you did, check out more videos in our Everything You Need to Know to Build a Fence series by checking out links in the description below or by clicking the thumbnail on your screen now.